Victoria Jones.
Hello.
Look where we are.
Yes.
Is this amazing?
It's literally stunning. From the mountains to all the city. Yeah, I want to move in.
Yeah, it's not a huge space, but it's beautiful up here. We are at what we call the Lighthouse. This is Kathy Lighton's yoga studio. We are recording episode 3 of this podcast, and I am delighted, number one, to be able to say that that it hasn't flamed out, instantly, which was kind of my expectation, and that you have been gracious enough to be here. You were my second phone call because I love your music. I think that you're incredibly talented and just really fun to talk to.
Thank you.
So thank you for being here.
No, thank you for
putting
having
your
me.
career on the line, to be associated with this. So we are starting again episode 3 of the Uprising podcast and about Huntsville local music. We just listened to your song Insignificant, which I listen to quite a bit. When you send it to me, the whole idea here is that when you show up, an artist shows up, I get an MP3 of a song.
Yeah.
We play it at the open. It's a really well done, well created, well crafted song. Tell me how it came to be.
Well, the song, actually, it was written and it was composed by me. Granted, when we got into studio, Kelvin, he added some beautiful arrangements to the
Tell
bridge.
me who Kelvin is.
Kelvin Wooten, he's a Grammy-nominated producer, and he does live here, or more so Athens, but he's amazing at all that he does. But yeah, I was grateful just to work with him on this project.
Yeah.
But yeah, the song took like 2 to 3 years to write. And Daniel Adamek of Little Orange Fish, he had always kind of been a fan of my music, and he would talk about playing together. And to be honest, like, my life is just super busy. And so I was like, I don't know yet. But when his foundation event concerning Little Orange Fish and mental health came up, we sat down, we had like a meeting, and just wanted to get a vision of, I wanted to get a vision of what his heart was behind Little Orange Fish, but also just instantly when we sat down with each other, I knew that Insignificant was supposed to be played with him, because he actually is the one that's playing the guitar.
Okay.
And so then I contacted Kelvin and I asked him if we could record and if he could produce it. And he gave the okay, and we just went to his place and
That's
we laid
very
it down.
cool. It's a beautiful song.
Thank you.
Song.
Thank you.
So tell me, what I know of you is that you love coffee. Like, I see you at the coffee shop. I see you at Honest Coffee all the time. I see your dad, and we talk about you every time I see you. I go in there with my daughters, and we talk daughter stuff. Like, your dad is an amazing guy. Hey, George. And the George Jones.
Yeah.
And
not the country singer.
But you said it. You are incredibly busy. And one of the reasons why I wanted to talk to you, and one of the reasons why I wanted to talk to you so early in what I'm doing is, I know a lot of people who have been in Huntsville, who have been working musicians for a long time.
Yeah.
They've done their thing. They've left town. They've come back. They've been in bands. They've kind of done what they're going to do.
Yeah.
I had Dave Anderson on, and he's still incredibly busy with what he does. He's a full-time musician. That's where he makes his living.
Yeah.
You are on that upward path.
That's
So
great.
tell me, as a working musician, as someone who's I mean, I would say you made it to a certain degree, but you have aspirations well beyond just what you're doing right now. Tell me where you are in that process.
Oh, that's a good question. So where I am in that process, for one, I remember actually I had a meeting, and we were just talking about music strategy. And to be honest, working musicianship, it looks a lot like process. It looks a lot like you are balancing a job sometimes and you're going to the studio. Sometimes it is you being a full-time musician running. However, that life, it looks hectic. And so for me, I'm actually in a season right now where I'm learning what all music can do, because I'm blessed to, be able to play at the Lumberyard, the Killing, or just be a part of like Huntsville Women in Music. But I've been able just to see that music, it fits in, and it can be a bridge towards education. It can be a bridge to nonprofit organizations, even like Little Orange Fish. And so I don't know, I'm learning and I'm seeing a well-rounded view of what my music is. If I had to speak about my music as a business standpoint, I'm learning what it means to operate as a brand. And a brand is something that hopefully it gives value to the people that are connected with it as well.
Right.
And so, yeah, I'm learning that and what all it looks like. Even, you know, there was certain talks even with the State Arts Council to help facilitate music inside curriculum, and same thing echoed with the Music Foundation, Microwave Dave's Music Foundation.
Yeah.
And so honestly, as a working musician, I'm still learning about, you know, what all it can do. And that excites me because it's a little bit more enriching than just, you know, playing a gig, singing over people, and then leaving the stage.
Right. Well, there's so much to talk about in what you just said. And again, another reason why I wanted to have you on is I know that your heart is someplace other than just, let's go make some money, let's go make some tips and go home. You have a mission. Like you appear to be someone who has a personal mission. I know your faith is a guiding force in how you, in everything that you do.
Yeah.
On your social, I follow you with everything you're doing. You're really good at being, and this is a balance for someone like you. You have to be a self-promoter, but you also have this humility about you that I think is very gracious about you.
Oh, thank you.
Well, that's a really difficult thing to do, is to be a business person, knowing you have to make a living and knowing where you want to be. Your aspirations are high, but you also want to stay true to who you are. And you don't want to appear to be someone who is just in it for the superficial or two-dimensional aspect of music. How is that? Where are you in that process with promoting yourself, with being a full-time musician, but also kind of staying true to who you are?
Well, for me, it's just taking the scales back. I know and I understand that music in itself, if it is supposed to be something that reaches people, if it is supposed to be something that connects people, my life personally needs to reflect that. And so I guess I find that balance between self-promotion, and thank you for saying humility, because I understand that this music is an extension of my life, and I want to live well. I want to steward it well. And then I want to sing from a place of truth and wholeness with it. And so, yeah, sometimes it is me promoting a song, and then other times it's me sharing the life and the story behind it. Because once again, because working musicianship is so strenuous, like you get stretched in all these different ways, and you feel, sometimes you walk through depression, sometimes you sing a great gig and you're still figuring out, okay, what just happened, and okay, I gotta clock back in after this high moment. And so I think it's just the authenticity of just realizing that it's still life. When I'm on a stage, that's a part of my life, but I still have a life outside of the stage too.
And you work. You have a real job.
Yeah.
What people that aren't in music would call a real job. Where your music is really the real job.
Yeah,
we all know that's an upside down kind of situation. But you have to kind of pay the bills. Yeah. And then this is a passion for you. I think there are a lot of people that would be watching this video or listening to this podcast and who are exposed to Huntsville musicians, not realizing that the person who is in the corner playing while they eat wings, or playing at this place doing whatever it is they're doing, that person isn't just there for their pay, isn't just there to express themselves. It's a combination of both of those things. There's an appreciation beyond that. And again, another reason why I want to do this is not everybody's up there singing Brown Eyed Girl at midnight for their health. They're doing it because they love it, and they're doing it because it's necessary for who they are. So tell me, and I want to stay here just for a minute on current events, because one thing I noticed is when I asked you what you were up to right now, about half of what you're doing is nonprofit stuff. About half of what you're doing are things that kind of feed your soul, not only your checking account. So what are some things that you're involved in? What are some things that you really believe in that you're doing right now?
Really, one of the most fulfilling things that I've been able to be a part of so far is for sure the Microwave Dave Music Foundation. For one, everybody on that team, they work so hard, and they honor artists, but also at the same time, they honor the students that they impact. And so I've been with them a couple of times, and actually just the last place that we were at, I got to sing over the students, and I shared a brand new song that I think I just had been travailing with for years. And so, it's just that part of the work that's impactful to me.
Tell me what the Microwave Dave, I mean, for people who aren't aware of this, Microwave Dave is a patriarch of musicians in Huntsville, and a blues guy, and he's incredibly well known and famous, and we all know who he is. if you don't know who Microwave Dave is, just give that a Google and you'll understand.
Yeah.
But he has a foundation. He has an
Yes.
organization that works inside schools. And tell us what that is.
So it's really dynamic too. They, I've seen them, for one, yes, they have concerts within the classroom, and they're just trying to broaden the scope of education and using music to facilitate that. But also, for instance, sometimes, they create lesson plans to teach a child figurative language, so we can use like original song of ours to teach that. We perform for them, and then we just use our words, our lyricism to help, fulfill whatever need is within that classroom. Right. So I think their vision and I'm just grateful that I've been a part of it, but they work their behinds off, and it really does make an impact. And even these schools, some of these schools, the kids, who knows what they're going home to. So I don't know. I've really enjoyed just being along for
That's
that.
very cool.
Yeah.
I've known about it on the periphery for a while.
Yeah.
And then I saw you involved in it. I think Alan has done some things with it too. And I look forward to learning more about it and being involved. And I look forward to getting Dave in that seat to talk about it as well.
Yeah.
So just as a testament to who you are, it took about twice as long to get through the things that you're doing right now as it did other people, because you're doing so much. You're so busy. You do so many things. I want to pause here and go back to little Victoria. So tell me what it was. Tell me when music first became something that you were interested in.
So I started writing music when I was 15. And up until that time, I thought I was just going to be a poet, actually. I had teachers that encouraged me to write because they thought I was a really good writer. But yeah, at the age of 15, I wrote my very first song.
And you're here in Huntsville.
Yeah.
Where were you going to school?
And raised. I was, what grade are you in at 15?
That's high school. That's the ninth grade.
Yeah, so that's ninth grade. So yeah, I was going to Sparkman High School. Woots. I love Sparkman High School. I will always have it as like Woots. I don't know. I should have said Woot Woot, but there's.
I thought that was like a Sparkman High School, like a Roll Tide or something.
No, actually, I don't know. I don't think we have one. But I love Sparkman. I love Sparkman. For one, Sparkman too. Just bragging on my school for a second. They exemplified just so much excellence, even in diversity. We had people that lived in $1 million homes and people that lived in trailer parks, and you could not tell them apart.
Yeah.
And that was something that I feel like just that school was an incubator for even my outlook for the world. And also it was just during that time, like I couldn't afford choir. So, a lot of things were just self-taught music wise. But one year I served as a first aide, or office aide, not first aid. I mean, two different things, but an office aide. And so, I would deliver papers to teachers and our principal. And I just remember my principal, he called me out of class one day and he said, "Hey, I want you to sing before the Board of Education for a ceremony that we're going to have." And I was like,
where did that come from?
I still don't know, but it's one of those things. And even I look at my life now and what it has been in education, I just feel like it was just a God ordering steps kind of thing, or like a little preface for that time. But yeah, I sung before the Board of Education and I would slide my songs in there. And they're like, "Oh my God, that was so great." And I'm like, "That was original." But, and so that's kind of what my focus was. And then when I graduated senior year, I will always say that this is the best show that I've ever done. But senior year, something happened within our choir and they needed somebody to perform for our graduating class. And they asked me to come and share White Butterfly, which is the first song off of my debut EP. But that was my first time sharing that song with the world. And I had a graduating class of 600 people at the VBC, plus their parents. And I'm like, that will forever be like my arena tour that I claim.
So just to sit there for a second, music was, you said you're 15 when you're writing songs.
When I started writing.
And then the story jumps to, you're at the Civic Center.
Yeah.
In front of about 800 people, give or take.
Yeah. Well, 600 times what, 2? So it's 12, so before our graduating class. And that was definitely a humbling moment because going back at 15, yes, I started writing music, but the life in between that, me and my mother, we had a nonprofit where we mentored girls. And so that was a trying time because I'm like, okay, music came first and now I'm running an organization. How can I be a musician? But honestly, it was all those years of cultivation as well. I was writing, I was crafting, I was meeting people within the industry, sometimes feeling like that's not the door that I need to go to. And really just kind of tying this whole thing back to the community. This community just gave me so much. I mean, Danny, I remember meeting him. I actually met him because he was outside playing guitar outside. Danny Davis from Tangled Strings.
Okay, all right.
Yeah, and so he was playing outside, and I love people, so I just walk up. I'm like, you're so good and talented, and we meet. We had that encounter, and then fast forward 318 Productions. I met them, and they were just amazing, phenomenal people, woman owned. They are amazing at what they do. But I recorded my first project with them. Kenita Rogers, she produced that one. And then it was later sent off to Kelvin Wooten, in which he mastered it. But also, even after the mastering, Danny, I blessed him with a CD. And I was just like, hey, I just remember that time we met out here. And he showed it to his wife, and they were both like, it sounds like Wooten was on here. And it's like, oh, yeah, he mastered it. And then next thing you know, Danny's like, hey, you want to open for him whenever he has his show? And I was like, that's not even a question. Yes, I do. And so just
how long ago was this?
That was 2016. So that's 3 years ago now. But my journey was like over 5 years in the making, and it was a lot. And yeah, my music speaks of process because I live through process and I write through process. But it's really just kind of cool on this end, seeing, all the community that really helped raise me, that helped even birth and usher the gift. So I'm super grateful.
Is that ongoing, that process?
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, yes.
Who was you just mentioned a story about Danny, Kelvin and Kenita, but are those the people that kind of brought you through? People who were kind of, because what I was getting to and what I really want to highlight with everybody is the relative health of the Huntsville music scene is how you get from where you are to where you want to be. Yeah. There's somebody where you want to be, and them. And they can bring you along, and there's so many gracious people, wonderful people in this town that can kind of pull you in. At some point, you got to go somewhere else. At some point, there's an Atlanta calling you. At some point, there's a Nashville. At some point, there's an LA or a New York, and you can go so far with this experience. But at some point, you need to move on. Some people do, some people don't. Yeah. You appear to be someone who needs to. I'm not trying to get rid of you.
No,
but I'm saying that you appeer to be somebody who's on a glide slope that is upward. That you're not destined just to play. No. Yeah. We see out on that vision. Yeah. And this is also where that balance too comes in. Even though that I love Huntsville, I live here, and I will always just root for the city. I know that I'm called to be beyond, but in the meantime, I still have a hometown, for one, and a place to sow into. And two, even like last year, I met with Michael Jackson's former producer. We were in his home, and this man, he was just giving me advice about what my music strategy should be and everything. And it did not sound like the Rockstar 101 that I think a lot of artists want to hear. Yeah. His advice was, you continue to steward the gift, like love on your hometown, love on your community, and just see what God does. Because the music industry is just so different right now. And so as an artist, especially as it pertains to being authentic in the craft, you got to know how to live. You got to know how to like plug into the life that you're living outside of the stage. Yeah. And so while my aspirations are worldwide, like I travel every year by myself, I don't do anything music, but I meet people, and hopefully with those connections, as life continues to go on, we will start moving things maybe to tour and such. But right now in this season, I'm just learning how just to hone that contentment, because I don't want to just run out there and realize that I never cultivated my own home, because I'll always be on the run with that. Do you have a timeline? Is there a timeline?
Yeah.
Is the clock ticking?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, do you have a plan? I mean, you appear to be someone who's really well put together.
No more than 5 years.
But like you appear to have, you got to have this vision, and you're not waiting.
No.
This is an interesting point, is that you're not there is the God thing. God's plan is there is a path
Yeah.
that you are on where you have to let go.
Mm-hmm.
But there's also you've got this itch, and you are ambitious, and you have to balance those two things.
Yeah.
And you have to be patient.
Yep.
Or do you?
Patience and contentment, they're always going to be needed, because they're going to be like, you're going to need to lean on those in those down times, or even in those seasons of disappointment where everything did not go your way. However, I mean, it's still a grind. It's something that you have to work towards. Like, I have my job of 5 years. I've been an assistant manager there. And granted, I've still, in this season of my life, not leveraging, but maintaining both my job and my responsibilities there, as well as my music business and running that. Oh, it's sometimes hell.
Yeah.
It really is. I'm constantly stretched, but I know, for one, that I'm doing the right thing by honoring my job and taking care of my responsibilities while I'm there. But it's a season of maintaining, and yes, one day it's going to balance out. But yeah, no, dreams don't wait. And yes, God is super important. He will order steps, but he's waiting on us sometimes. Like, are you even stewarding what I got? Are you stewarding the resources, the people, the venues, even the talent that you have? And so, yeah, with that being said, it is patience, it is contentment, but it's also grind, and you can't sleep.
Tell me, what are you doing right now? Where are you? Where are your extension? You're reaching.
Yeah.
What are you reaching for right now?
My reaching, like, what am I doing? Like, honing right now?
Yeah.
Right now, I'm definitely in a season of writing. So like my next release sound, which I don't know the date for that, I'm getting to more real life aspects. I think all my music before, I've been able to sing about other people. I've been able to sing about, living life or overcoming and boldness. And it sounds very abstract, but my next body of work is like, literally, you're hearing exactly where I am in the process. And the sounds that are accompanying with that is like gospel, there will be soul. But yeah, so I feel like it's content building time, it's writing time, it's reflecting time, but also just enjoying the downtime.
Let me ask you about your process. You're a lyricist. I mean, you came up, you just said that you were a poet. And if nothing else had happened, if you ever picked up an instrument, you'd still be writing. Yeah. Mm-hmm. So lyrics first, music second.
It depends.
Tell me why.
It depends. So like, for instance, like Insignificant. I remember I had do, 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 do. And I would just hear that. And then as my heart would continue to go back to that song, I'm like, oh my gosh, I hear people's lives and their stories. And then it took years like to build to that. And then sometimes it's like, I have words that I hear or that I'm rehearsing. And then I'm like, okay, my words, it sounds like I'm pissed off right now, or it sounds like I'm walking through something. And so I match melody with that. But I really never know. And I feel like that's sometimes so frustrating because you want to convey a proper process. Right. But there's another song of mine, it's called Cry. And I shared that at the Not Alone conference with our Attorney General, as well as just other venues. But I just remember that song, I was in Nashville in the studio trying to finish another song that I was writing. And then I just like doze off for a second, just staring off. And then I'm like, cry for a little bit. And then I just wrote the whole song there. So I really never know. Yeah. It's kind of manic. Yeah. But, I think that's when you know too that it's real. Right. So yeah. So,
well, can you write in a system? There are some people who write systematically. Like I think like Bernie Taupin and Elton John had this relationship where it was almost like they had a point A, point B, point C song comes out the other end. You don't appear to work that way.
It hasn't been that way. And I think it's because of what all I've had to manage so far in my life. Like I didn't have that luxury. Sometimes I got to go open up the store and then, while I'm working, okay, why are lyrics coming right now? Let me write this down. Or sometimes I'm cleaning up my house or
like, wake up in the middle of the night. You have something.
Yeah. Sometimes it's that too. Or sometimes like I have an overwhelming day and I just sit at my piano and just words, they come out. So yeah, I really, because of what all I do, I haven't had that, hey, I can just wake up this time, we start writing this. But once again, for me in this season right now, because probably won't always be that way. I
Yeah.
feel like when I get past the season of maintaining both, maybe I will have that system. But right now it's worked. And also I feel like it's made the songs more relatable because I'm able to sing from a place of realness of like, y'all, this is real time.
And you mentioned this, and maybe I missed it, but this is a new kind of path for you, writing real, writing raw.
Mm-hmm.
Is that hard to do? Is it easier to write what you know and from a place that's deep here, or is it harder because of the vulnerability that kind of implies?
You know, it's only hard when I don't want to discuss truth, and then when I don't want to discuss like whatever topic that I'm singing about. That's the only time that it's hard. But honestly, when I know that I'm singing it from a place of wholeness, not meaning that, you know, it doesn't bother me, but I know what my vices are. I know, you know, what triggers certain things. It makes it less hard.
Mm-hmm.
And also too, music is what I've learned so far, even in my process and even in my songs that have been like the most gut wrenching. Somebody in that crowd, they needed that. They're like,
Right.
you just articulated something that I have been walking through.
Right.
And so that part makes it easy because I'm like, even when I'm going through my own life and all the hell that sometimes accompanies with that, I'm like, I know it's not just for me. I know that this is producing something in me to better relate and reach somebody else out there.
Right.
So
I just want to remind everybody that we're at the top of the Times building, and this is a fantastic. This is a magical room. Mm-hmm. We call it the Lighthouse, and we have the windows open, and it's just beautiful outside. You should see what we see right now.
Yeah.
You can hear what we hear right now. Which there'll be a train every now and then. There'll be a horn every now and then.
Yeah.
Somebody's motorcycle.
Like who's beeping though? Like where are you going
tonight? But Victoria, this is real. This is
yes.
all real.
Yeah.
I mean, you know, we're not overproduced here for that reason. I'm glad we spent a lot of time on the writing process because I think what a lot of people who are maybe fans of music don't realize exactly what goes into. This is an art as much as spending a year painting.
Yeah.
Or a sculpture, or writing a novel. It's as much of an art. I think music, seems to be one of the more approachable art forms to the person who has no talent. I mean, to someone who's like, you know, it doesn't appear to be that difficult.
Yeah. Yeah.
But knowing what you go through in order to get the
it's a life.
process.
I always say this: music and even the business of it. It's a life equity business. It's a life equity product. And so, you know, even in the way that I market myself, even the way that, you know, whenever I send invoices and somebody wants to book me, I'm like, you know what, every part of it matters because I know the life portion that was invested in this 3-minute song. Whether you value that or not, I value it because I remember the hospital stays. I remember the tears. I remember, oh my gosh, is anybody going to listen to this? Mm-hmm. I know the life equity behind my work. Yeah. And so, yeah. Mm-hmm.
Is the best music written out of pain?
Ooh, I don't think all the time. I do think it's the most relatable music is written out of pain because life is not just sunshine all the time. You know, it's doubt, it's tears, it's confusion, it's all those things. And I feel like, it's more relatable when it comes out of pain, but I don't think the best art comes out of pain. Yeah. Yeah.
So there's a podcast that I listen to. Malcolm Gladwell has this podcast, Revisionist History, which is like one of the top podcasts in the country. Malcolm Gladwell is this, you know, incredibly prolific writer and has written all these business books, but he has a podcast episode on revisionist history called The King of Tears. And this episode is all about country music, which I live in Alabama.
Storytelling
I have
finest.
Very little appreciation for like old school country music. You know, I don't have a lot of time for a tear in my beer and that kind of thing. I mean, I appreciate that other people appreciate it. It ain't my jam. All right. And it hasn't ever been. But listening to that, his whole thesis in that podcast is that music that comes from a place of vulnerability is incredibly powerful versus like, you know, bop a loo bop, a wop bam boom. Like it can only take you so far. Yeah. But what country music and a lot of R&B and a lot of music that speaks to a certain socioeconomic and or life experience is incredibly powerful. Oh yeah. So those songs translate. And it sounds like where your music is headed.
Yeah. And to be honest, just being real right now, when you look at the world, all the stuff that's going on, from the division to racism to just materialism, all these different things, I think people are hungry for real right now. And I think that's what's making music and original music a hit. It's making it something that people are wanting to listen from, because, when you're really realistic, you can't afford to party all the time. You can't afford to just, lay with anybody all the time. It's not real. Or even if it is real to you, that is like some toxic brokenness that
Right.
you don't want to live in.
Right.
And so, yeah, I once again, going back to the life equity as an artist, for whatever it's worth, I want to create from places of wholeness. I want to make sure that I'm going through my process right. Whether I'm forgiving, whether I'm, appreciating the season that I'm in. I want that authenticity to be felt. Like, y'all, I walked through it. Here it is. I'm laying it down for you. I hope it blesses you.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Another question for you about your process is, and you're young.
Yeah.
How old are you?
23.
Okay. Forgive me. A gentleman doesn't ask a lady
fine.
How old she is, unless you're
I feel
clearly
45
way
here, though.
younger than me, and then I can ask you. So I just did. Sorry.
Yeah.
Sorry, Mom. So this is a question that I asked Dave Anderson, who was sitting there last night, and Alan, who was there the night before. There's a 10,000 hour idea that you become an expert. You become like a well-seasoned musician. A well-seasoned anything takes 10,000 hours. Another Malcolm Gladwell thing. I don't know why that's on my mind tonight.
Yeah.
But are you in the middle of that season? Have you, at 23, have you done that where you're like, I feel like I have grown as a musician, and I am where I can be to then be successful? Or are you in the middle of some place where you feel like there's an end to this?
Mm.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does make sense. Honestly, I feel like the process and the grind of music, it never feels like you apprehend. So I can't say that it feels like, okay, I've accomplished my hours and I'm set, I'm ready for this.
Right.
However, I do think for where I am, and especially, realize that I've been writing ever since I was 15, I believe that I have matured enough to be like, hey, I'm worth this. And I know this about my brand. I know this about myself.
Right.
And so, I definitely have a certainty, or is surety. Is that a word?
We just made it one.
Which, that's fine. Yes. Yeah. So I'm assured in the sense of, I'm ready for real time. This is real time. But also, I don't think I've yet apprehended. I feel like there's definitely so much that I can grow in.
Right.
And I think that comes with time.
Sure.
Of course. Yeah.
Well, Victoria Jones, like you were one of my favorite people before we did this. And now you're even more.
No, thank you.
You're a beautiful person.
Thank
and
you.
What you're doing is, and this is the thing that I think, drawing some sort of grand assessment, not that you need anything from me, but I think what you do is not only incredibly, you're incredibly gifted, and your music is really entertaining, but it's also very important.
Mm.
And that's different than most folks who just write songs to write songs. It's different than people who sit in the corner and play at whatever restaurant or bar in order to get that check and then go home. Mm-hmm. You are writing and producing on a different level.
Well,
and that is evident. So thank you so much for being here.
No,
I have one last question for you. I told you I was going to ask you this before we started. Mm-hmm. You've got this magical gig. Okay. Mm-hmm. You get to play on stage with one person who has to be alive.
Yes.
And you're playing a song at a venue. Who are you playing with? What's the song and what's the venue?
Okay. Who I'm playing with? Emily Sande. She's one of my favorite artists from the UK.
Okay, say that again.
Her name is Emily Sande.
Okay, spell that for me, because now I'm on to
it. EMELISANDE.
Okay.
She is from the UK and one of my all-time favorite singer-songwriters. Honestly, if you listen to her, you'll be like, oh, I see where she got that from.
Yeah.
I'm so influenced by her.
Okay.
Venue. Anywhere in Wales. I went to Wales by myself last year, and I love that place.
Wouldn't have picked that, but go ahead.
Oh my gosh, yeah, maybe.
I'm sure it's beautiful.
I'm pretty sure
That's
nobody would go. Nobody would go see it. They'd be like, "Where are you gonna sing in front of sheep?"
Too. Right.
Yeah, it's gonna be in front of sheep. It's gonna be fine. But yeah, it was maybe we can broadcast it. I don't know. So marketing, obviously, I'm a fail at that portion of where I want to have the show. But yeah, Emily Sande in Wales. And yeah, I want to do a mashup of like one of my songs and hers. Yeah.
All right.
Hopefully that answers
If I were going to go look at Emily Sunday right now on Spotify, what's a song that I would want to?
Ooh, River.
All right. I'm on it.
Yeah. Jeez.
All right. Thank you
There's
so
so many.
much.
Yeah.
Oh
no,
my
thank
gosh, you're
you.
the best. We're going to do this again. Like everybody I talk to, I'm like, part 2 coming up.
No, I'm so
But
down.
this is great.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you
Yes.
so much for being here.
Thank
So
you for
great.
having me. Thank
Victoria
you.
Jones, the best.
Thank you guys.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.